problem solving is an important aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's part of the game. I mean, that's the idea of the game. It's kind of like a puzzle, right? The opponent built, establishes a board. And you got to figure out a solution to that problem. You got to find a way to beat that board. If you don't beat the board is going to beat you, right? I'm always trying to find solutions to problems. Whenever I see a problem, I end up with one or two good tech cards that can be used to solve a problem. Not a lot of my tech cards are positively received by a lot of other players. Usually the reason why is because a lot of other players like to assume they know everything, which they don't. Therefore, they miss out on, good opportunities. One of the things as being a human being, period, is you're supposed to learn, right? You're not born with the knowledge of the universe at all. You got to learn something. Learn through experience, learn from reading a book, learn from Googling something, learning from just listening to somebody else. If somebody has spent 10 years playing the same card over and over again, and they've been beating you with the same card over and over and over again, and when they tell you it's a good card, you might want to listen to them. Or if they tell you some other card is good, you might want to listen to them. It's always weird to see some people who are against the idea of ideas. Like, you'll be like, hey, this card's good, and then somebody just immediately wants to dismiss it. They want to automatically be like, oh no, that's a terrible idea. Why? You haven't tested it out. You haven't proven that it's a bad idea at all. You just wish it was a bad idea. You hope it was a bad idea. You like to assume you know everything, therefore anything that anyone else says is automatically a wrong idea. But every problem has more than one solution. There's a solution, not the solution, right? So, for example, there was Monarchs, the structure that came out. So Monarchs got support. They got a really good structure deck, and some players were having a little issue with the fact that it couldn't really keep up because it was a little bit slower than Pendulums, because of the whole fact that Pendulums just swarm the field, and you OTK you faster. You can you can make a couple plays. So to help make Monarchs better and to help them break less, which was one of the memes I used to see a lot of people talking about the you could build a house with Monarchs because they brick. Right, that's the joke. They brick because you get a lot of non-playable hands really quick, and there's not that many cards, especially in the structure deck inherently, that gives you the ability to make the deck sing real quick, right? Get fully powered and go off. It has a lot of good cards, of course, but for it to truly maximize, there's not like other than the Pandemonium, or I forgot the name of the card right now, but it's the one you play, you draw cards. Anyway, a lot of players point out that the deck bricks. I thought about, there's different levels in the deck, because you have some 8 stars, you got some 6 stars, and then you got the 1 and 2 star, the little squires. And then most of the spells and traps work in the grave. And then there's the recyclability, the fact that you can put whatever you put in the graveyard that is Monarch, that's Monarch in his name, back into the deck using the Monarch, the Prime Monarch trap, if I'm right. So it's like, okay, then why don't you use milling as your draw engine, a way to get the deck up and running. So then I had, of course, the bright idea of, Reasoning's currently at 3 at the time. Now it's limited to 1. My bad. But it was at 3 at one time, and it was like, all right, well, let me put the information out there. Right? It's like first I wanted to test it, so of course I tested it. It's like, all right, it works the way I thought it will work. It definitely is fun, and it does what it's supposed to do. Because as long as you draw, no matter what your hand looks like, as long as you draw Reasoning, you can make the deck playable. And that's the important part, was to make hands playable. Like, as soon as you draw Reasoning, the deck will be playable. Regardless if you end up just milling like half your deck to the graveyard and you don't get a monster on the field. from reasoning. It doesn't matter. The idea was to get as much stuff in the graveyard, try to get the deck to have some type of playability. You didn't want the next cards you draw to be brick, 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 right? Because you might as well build a house with all them bricks, right? So since a lot of players were saying the Monarch's brick, I was like, all right, well then reasoning will be used in the deck, of course, and I'll call the deck Brickless Monarchs. Just going with the whole concept, because everybody's saying the deck bricks. So the idea was to make a Monarch deck that doesn't brick, or at least bricks less, which is why I call it Brickless Monarchs. Then I put the information out there on YouTube and Yugioh Facebook groups and Twitter and stuff like that, to get it out there. Didn't get a lot of positive response from a lot of players, but those were more likely noobs and trolls. So they were irrelevant. But then a lot of other players started paying attention, started trying it out. I got some positive feedback like, oh yeah, you're right. I tried it out and, the deck's working great. It bricks less. That was the whole point, right? So that was a nice, spicy little tech right there, right? And anyone could have eventually, thought of playing reasoning in the Monarch deck. It was just the fact that more people like to complain about the problem of the deck, or meme the whole deck and talk junk about it. Instead of trying to solve the problem, they just like to point out that there was a problem. And that tends to be really annoying. It's like, why in society people focus more on pointing out a problem instead of actually trying to solve it? I'm the opposite. I don't focus on pointing out a problem. If I see a problem, I'm going to want to find a solution, because every problem does have a solution. So because every problem has a solution, therefore it's not really a problem. It's just something to do. It's just something that needs to be done. A lot of the cards I use, a lot of my staples are based off of that same principle. There's a problem and I need a solution. Sometimes the solution has to be something simple, basic. It's like I play red screen because my opponent's always going to summon something, right? Or at least they're going to try to summon a monster. They're always going to try to attack me. So I got to solve that problem, right? I can't let my opponent attack me every turn and then they win at about 2 to 3 turns. So I need to make the turns last longer. Make them work for it. Don't make it easy for them. Make them work for it. Strategically, obviously, if you play, you always try to get rid of the back row before you start declaring attacks anyway. I mean, you always try to clear your opponent's board before you start, trying to win. But a lot of players don't. A lot of players tend to they like a lot of the flashy cards. They like a lot of the fun. They were like, oh, I want my deck to do some cool stuff. And they don't focus on like the basic aspects of the game. It's like, well, your opponent's going to have back row. Your opponent's going to have monsters that maybe you can't dark hold. So you got to take that to account. So you got to balance out your deck to deal with that. You can't just assume, oh, I can always dark hold. Every monster in the game can be dark hold. No, not every monster can be dark hold. So don't assume that. And you have a better chance of balancing out your deck and being prepared. And that's the thing, problem solving. It's like, if you know every monster in the game can't be dark hold, right? There's a lot of monsters that can't be dark hold. You might want to find an alternative to dark hold. Let's say on average, it's not that you're dark holding because your opponent has a lot of monsters. A lot of times it's just that your opponent has one monster that is powerful and problematic. Their boss monster. Well, if their boss monster can't be destroyed by a card effect, you might need something different. So then something like Wing Blast, Sky Blaster, 101, anything that doesn't destroy. If you want to, of course, you want to find stuff that doesn't target, but if Konami keeps creating a lot of cards that does target, well, you gotta use what you can, right? That's the thing, solve a problem, right? Unless Konami creates more cards that doesn't target, and they have created some, but I mean, just in general, it's like if they created more cards that didn't say the word target on it, then that would solve a lot of problems with certain problematic monsters. Monsters that says can't be targeted. Like now they're making more cards that says can't be targeted. Now there's actually a field spell and a concealed spell card that makes it where your opponent can't target your spells and traps and can't destroy your spells and traps. What kind of shit is that? Granted, that's a solution to a problem, to getting MST, to getting Tornado Dragon, to getting Twin Twister, right? That's a solution to that. But then that's the thing, it creates another problem. because now you gotta find a way to get rid of back row when you can't get rid of back row, right? So that's funny. I mean, one basic strategy you can do, of course, is attack the back row, as I call it. When you play into the back row, when you deliberately try to force your opponent to utilize their back row, so you make plays to have them respond with their back row. It's the whole MST without MST thing, right? It's like, how do you get rid of back row if you don't have back row removal? Well, you do stuff to make your opponent use that back row, and that's how you MST without MST. Just like if you're in a scenario where your opponent has cards that make it where you can't use MST or Twin Twister or anything of that nature, is like, well, then you're gonna have to make them play that back row. That back row has to be activated. If not, it's just gonna be there long enough that close to an important moment where it's like, oh yeah, now I can do my burn combo and win. Boop, nope. They still got their back row. Now they can stop you, and it's like, oh, that's gonna be a problem. And that's the thing. Problem solving. It's like, there's gonna be a problem. Yeah, solve it. So try to look at every card that ever came out. Look at, definitely check out my content. I have a Facebook group, facebook.com, Card Games TV 1, and I do post some spicy tech. It's solving problems. Like, for example, I pointed out that, a good tech card, especially since a lot of decks like to draw a lot of cards and swarm the field. Like, they like to create strong boards, especially with link summoning. A whole bunch of link summoning to the point where you end up with like 3 firewall dragons, some proxy dragons, and all this craziness, right? The fact that people might use scapegoats and Gofu and this and that, right, to fill up the field, to fill up their field so they can start like linking and stuff. They're trying to get more monsters on the field. So because of that, it's like, well, why not use, something like Secret Barrel to deal some damage? Because mathematically, you want Secret Barrel to do 1,000 more damage. Right off the bat, when you go first and you set Secret Barrel and some other cards and your opponent draws, they're going to have 6 cards. You activate Secret Barrel, they take 1,200. Right? That's over 1,000 damage. But you can wait a little bit longer and wait until they get like 5 more cards. And that's all you need them to do. Just have 5 more cards on top of the 6 cards they already had, right? Or just 4, because they already have 6. They just need 4, so that'd be 10 altogether. That'd be 2,000 damage. That way, that one Secret Barrel can deal 2,000 damage. And 2,000 damage is nothing to sneeze at. You can win with that. You know what I mean? That's 2,000 damage. Then you can attack with like a monster with like 3,000 attack. So that's 5,000 right there. That means your opponent only has 3,000 left. Another 3,000 attack, and you'll win. You know what I mean? You're trying to reduce your opponent's life points. From my personal experience for years, the whole goal was always to deal at least half your opponent's life points. In the first 2 turns of the duel, you want to deal at least 4,000 points of damage. You know what I mean? I used to use Scapegoats and Cannon Soldier back in the day. I summon Cannon Soldier, set my back row. My opponent ends his turn. I activate Scapegoats during his end phase. Boom, draw. Activate Cannon Soldier. Tribute the 4 Scapegoats. Deal 2,000, right? Then activate another Scapegoats on my turn from my hand. Tribute those Scapegoats. Deal another 2,000. Right there, 4,000. That's why I play Scapegoats. That's why I play Cannon Soldier. You know what I mean? Because it works. The goal was to deal 4,000 points of damage at least. And think about it. You go first, then your opponent goes, and then you of course, use stuff to defend. I use Gravity Bind, Compulse, things of that stuff. Stuff to disrupt my opponent's plays. So that way he has no choice but to set some back row and end his turn. That, all right, well, now I'm going to play Scapegoat. My turn, do this and third, and burn. Before I even declare an attack with a Cannon Soldier, right? And then if I attack, all right, boom, 1,400 extra. And then if I want, I could tribute the Cannon Soldier to deal 500 more. So then that's 19 on top of the 4,000. That's 5,900. That means my opponent has 2,100 left. I imagine if I had a Secret Barrel, right? Boom, end them out. Now I use, just Zerds and Ceasefire and Ring of Destruction at that time. I mean, I still have the decks. I still have those cards, of course. But the point was that was the thing I did for years. That's my main strategy. I even had stuff like Curse of Darkness, main deck, because a lot of people like to play stuff like Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity back in the day, Card Destruction, Swords, Snatch Steal, Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, Regeki, right? Then, of course, it was Heavy Storm, Harpies, MST, blah, blah. But typically, most people play their little draw cards or their search cards. I'm dealing them damage. if I can at least deal them 2,000, you know, in the first turn, like I go first, then they go, and then I flip the two Curse of Darknesses. As soon as they play a spell card, boom, they just took 2,000. If they play another spell card, boom, 2,000. Remember, the goal was to deal 4,000. For years, that's always been the whole goal, is to deal 4,000. That's why it was cool when they started making monsters that were 4,000 that you can easily summon, right? Like Malefic Cyber End, Cyber End Dragon if you Palmerizate, right? Or Cyberstein, Instant Fusion, or Metamorphosis and so forth and so forth. It was just so nice to have monsters that have 4,000 attack strength, so that way you only take 2 attacks to win, right? So if you can cut your opponent's life points down in half, and then you have less work, that means you can slowly whittle away at your opponent. It's easier to do a lot of damage in the first 2 turns of a duel than it is in the following turns. The following turns will be harder because your opponent by that time will have stuff to try to stop you. They probably would have summoned a monster that can stop you from dealing them damage and whatnot. That's the real reason why Trickstars are doing so good right now. And I already knew that they were going to do good, which is why it's important for people to keep an eye out on them. Don't sleep on them, because in the beginning of the duel, whether they go first or second, they can deal you a good amount of damage. Then, of course, Chain Burn won Worlds not too long, a couple weeks ago. So that lets you know that don't sleep on Burn. For years, not only dealing 4,000 is a goal. For years, Burn had to be in every one of my decks. Over time, I started leaning away from burning, from playing burn cards, but I'm slowly starting going back to playing burn cards. I'm starting to think about the idea of like having a couple monsters that burn upon summon, like Tellarknight Sham or Asham, whatever his name is. Whenever it's summoned, it deals 1,000. Whether it's normal summon or special summon, it deals 1,000. That's a good card. It's a light warrior, level 4, so you can exceed summon with it and whatnot. You can search it. That's the beauty of it, right? Play reinforcement, boom, add it to your hand. It's a light monster, so it has use in certain decks that require light, and light matters. Especially if you do stuff like Ties of the Brethren, right? Ties of the Brethren, a light monster, this level 4. Bring out Sham, right, and then deal 1,000. So you're burning your opponent. You took 2,000 for Ties of the Brethren. Now you deal your opponent 1,000, and then make your plays the following turn after that. You can do the other stuff. We got Gaga Cowboy. He burns, right? So that's the thing. It's a good idea to have some level of burn, which is why I even mentioned that Secret Barrel is a good tech card in general, because especially a lot of people want to max C. It's like, oh, you're doing this and that? Okay, yeah. Well, there you go, max C. Because in order for you to deal 4,000 with just one Secret Barrel, your opponent's going to need at least 20 cards, right? At least 20 cards. 2 Secret Barrels is 8,000. That's game. Why not? Why not give it a try? Because it takes all the cards in your opponent's hand and field to account for the burning. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt to give it a try. There's other cards that can guarantee the 2,000 damage. Meteor Flare. But the thing is, it has a cost that not a lot of people like. They don't like to neg, as they call it, right? They don't like to discard. Well, then you don't like to win, right? You don't like to deal the 2,000. Even though it will help you win duels, because dealing 2,000 right off the bat in the beginning of the duel is obviously good, especially when your opponent will play stuff like Silent Strike, Warning, things of that nature, things that does cost life points. Then you will be attacking them. I expect you to attack them, right? So that's more stuff that will make their life points go down to 0. You want to deal 2,000 at least 4 times. You want to do 2,700 points of damage 3 times. You want to deal 3,000 3 times. 4,000 2 times, 8,000 1 time. You get the point, right? It's the ratio. It's like you gotta think about the numbers, though, like how much damage you can deal, and then you want to do it, and you want to keep it consistent. Just like if you have Just Desserts, don't play it when your opponent only has 1 monster. That's a waste of Just Desserts. You definitely want to play Just Desserts when your opponent has 2 or more, because 1,000 damage can go a long way. But of course, the best time to play is when your opponent has at least 4 monsters. Because 2,000 4 times is game. 2,000 is just beautiful. You'd be surprised how many times you'll win just by dealing 2,000 with 1 card and then playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right? The idea is to make your life easier, and that's what tech cards tend to do. they solve a problem. They make things easier. If you feel your deck doesn't win as often, you have to look really close why. If you duel people and you get them down to like 2,000 life points and then you lose, and you duel somebody else and you get them down to 2,000 life points and you lose, and you go duel somebody else and you get them down to 2,000 life points and you lose. Obviously, there's a problem there. And the thing is, the deck works good enough to deal 6,000 points of damage, to at least get them down to the 2,000 life points, but you can't finish them off. And that's the thing. You haven't solved the problem you have, which is finishing them off, right? The finisher. You need a finishing move. You need something that can help you finish them off. Since your deck already can, on average, deal 6,000 damage, and mostly it's probably through battle, then throw in some burn. Throw in Secret Barrel. You know what I mean? Throw in Sham or anything that can deal damage. Well, I want to go. I could talk for hours, but I don't want to waste too much time. The point was to point out the fact that it's like problems. There's problems in the game that need to be solved, and sometimes someone has the solution, but no one's listening, and it tends to suck. It sucks more for the people who don't listen, because I'm going to use my tech cards. I'm going to use my strategies. You know what I mean? I don't just think of the ideas. I do use them, And then all I'm doing is sharing them. They work for me because they solve problems. So they should work for you. That's the end of the video.